Seoul, South Korea, November 2024. The entire world was talking about her. The woman of Alton Liman, Golden Harbor. A viral video that spread inexplicably. A person arriving at the Northgate International Terminal with a document that had not existed 400 years ago, only to vanish afterward. 300 million views, millions of theories, but most importantly, a profound emotional impact. The Kwan family was equally affected, specifically 4-year-old Ji-hoon, and the fifth replay of the video on his father's phone. The father, Hyun-woo, was obsessed with the case. It was compelling. Was it possible? Was it real? Or just a trick of AI? Ji-hoon moved closer, watching the screen intently as usual. The terminal authorities looked confused, but in reality they were not, because they simply had no idea what had happened. "Father," Ji-hoon whispered. "Doesn't she know?" Hyun-woo chuckled. "No, there's nothing out of time. She is here, in your home right now." Ji-hoon closed the screen. He looked into his father's eyes. "I still don't understand." Silence fell. His mother, Min-ji, put down her fork. "What do you mean, my love?" "She was born in 1553. Hyun-woo stared in confusion. "But that wasn't that long ago." "It's confusing, because there is no one from the terminal looking for her." Ji-hoon explained something he could no longer hold back. "You wake up and you think it's just yesterday, but then it's night. Only for her, that event was many, many years ago." Hyun-woo took a sip. "How do you know that, Ji-hoon?" "Because she told me. Last night. She told me she belonged to the time when the building of the Grand Fortress was decided, and she had something she needed to do before that. I told her there was no longer a night watch curfew, and she became very sad." Ji-hoon looked away. "I didn't tell her that her town no longer exists. I didn't want to make her cry anymore." Min-ji took her son's hand. "Ji-hoon, that was just a dream." "No, Mom, she left this." He opened his small hand. In it lay a tarnished antique silver ring with an ancient Greek inscription that no one could read. However, later analysis would confirm that the ring was made in Anatolia in 1552, a year before Alton Liman vanished forever. The next morning, Hyun-woo took the ring to an antique dealer specializing in ancient artifacts. Mr. Kim, the 70-year-old man with decades of experience, examined the piece under his magnifying glass. His hands were visibly shaking. "Where did you find this?" His voice was barely a whisper. "My son says someone gave it to him." Mr. Kim didn't take his eyes off the ring. "This is 16th century silver. Ancient Anatolian craftsmanship technique. And this inscription, ... He pulled out an old book, comparing the symbols. "This is the seal of the Merchant Guild of Alton Liman, a trading district in the Aegean that disappeared in 1554. Alton Liman, the same place as the woman in the video?" "Precisely. Only the name has been slightly altered on social media, but it is the exact same location." Mr. Kim looked directly into Hyun-woo's eyes. "This ring is almost 470 years old, yet it is in perfect condition, as if it were made yesterday." That afternoon, Min-ji found Ji-hoon talking to himself in his room. She approached the ajar door. "Why can't I see my family?" Ji-hoon's voice was sad, as if repeating a question someone else had asked him. Silence. "Why aren't they here anymore?" "Too much time has passed." Ji-hoon sighed. "Yes, I know, it's sad. Mom explained to me that sometimes people leave and don't come back." Min-ji pushed the door open. "Who are you talking to, Ji-hoon?" Her son looked at her with tear-filled eyes. "Elara. Mom, the woman from the video is here. Well, not here, she's like in the middle. She says she can see me, but everything else is blurry." "What else does she say?" "She says she's scared, that the streets don't look right, that people dress strangely, that carriages move by themselves." Ji-hoon wiped his tears. "Mom, she thinks she's sick, that she has a fever. That's why everything looks weird. She doesn't know that the world has changed." Minji knelt down in front of her son. Why can she only talk to you? Because we children can see both things, the time of now and the time before. She's trapped in the middle, like when a toy falls behind the furniture. She's neither here nor there, just lost. Are there others like her? Ji-hoon nodded slowly. She says yes, that sometimes she sees shadows, other lost people, but they can't talk to each other. Everyone is trapped in their own time error. Minji hugged her son, and for the first time, wondered if what was happening wasn't imagination, but something much more real and much more terrifying. The Alton Lemon case exploded further. A second video, recorded by a passenger at the terminal with their cell phone, surfaced. In it, the woman spoke clearly. Where are the citadel walls? Why are there so many light poles in the sky? What are these iron beasts? Experts analyzed the video, her language, her accent. It was an old Anatolian dialect, a vernacular that had not been spoken since the 16th century. Linguists confirmed. No one could fake that without years of specialized study. Haiyan Wu contacted Dr. Han, a theoretical physicist specializing in temporal anomalies at Seoul National University, SNU. I saw your case in the news. The ring, the child. I need to talk to you. They met in a cafe. Dr. Han was 50 years old, but his gaze belonged to someone who had seen things that should not exist. I have studied time theory for 30 years, and there is something most people don't understand. Time is not a line. It's more like transparent layers of paper. They all exist at the same time, but normally they don't touch. And what happens when they touch? Collapses. Distortions. People who get trapped between the layers like an insect in amber. The doctor pulled out a tablet and showed equations. Something happened in 1553, a rare astronomical event. The alignment of 3 planets created a massive gravitational distortion, small, but sufficient. And what if at that exact moment there was something else? An experiment, an explosion, an intense electromagnetic field. People could have been trapped. Exactly. They are floating between their time and other times, seeing both, but belonging to neither. Dr. Han sipped his coffee. And the worst part is, for them, time continues to flow normally. They age, they feel, they suffer, but they are desynchronized from reality. Like a scratched record that skips, but keeps playing. That night, Ji-hoon woke up screaming. Minji and Haiyan Wu ran to his room. The child was trembling. Ilara showed me something. She let me see what she sees. What do you see, son? I see 2 worlds at the same time. One with old houses and horse carts, the other with cars and buildings. And she is in the middle, seeing both, unable to touch either. Ji-hoon sobbed. Father, she is so scared. She thinks she is going crazy. It's been days for her like this. She doesn't know it's been years. For her, only 3 days have passed since she left her home. 3 days, whispered Minji. For her, yes, but for the world, 471 years have passed. Silence became absolute, as they were now beginning to grasp the true tragedy. Ilara was not just lost in time. She was condemned to experience everything without knowing why. Dr. Han installed monitoring equipment in Ji-hoon's room. Electromagnetic sensors, high-sensitivity audio recorders. If the woman was truly communicating with his son, she should leave an energetic signature. The first night, they recorded something extraordinary. At 3:17 a.m., all sensors were triggered. There were massive fluctuations in the electromagnetic field, and the audio recorders captured a woman's voice, faint, distorted, but clear. Why isn't my husband coming? I told him I would be in the square. Why is everything so strange? Why are people looking at me as if I were a ghost? Ji-hoon's voice replied, Because too much time has passed, Ms. Ilara. Your husband is no longer here. How is he not here? I saw him this morning. He told me he would come after the market. That morning was a very, very long time ago. A sob was heard in the recording. Then silence. The sensors returned to normal. Dr. Han played the audio repeatedly. This is not possible. The voice is coming from nowhere. There is no physical source. It's as if the air itself is vibrating with her words. What does that mean? It means she is literally between dimensions. Her voice crosses because her frequency is desynchronized. Like two radios on nearly identical frequencies, they sometimes tune in for a moment. The local newspaper reporter, Mina Kim, heard about the case and requested an interview. During the conversation, she revealed something disturbing. I've been investigating. I found other cases. People appearing at terminals, train stations, hospitals, always confused, always talking about places that no longer exist. Authorities treat them as mentally ill, medicate them, lock them up. She showed photographs from psychiatric archives. 5 cases in the last 10 years. A man who insisted he came from Austria-Hungary, a woman who spoke of the kingdom of Siam, another who swore he was from Babylon. Countries that no longer exist ... muttered Haiyan Wu. Exactly. But not because they are insane, but because they come from when those countries did exist, and they don't know they vanished. Mina Kim leaned forward. How many people might be wandering the world, lost in time, thinking they are sick when they are actually displaced? That night, Ji-hoon made a drawing. It was Alara, but there was something strange. She was drawn in 2 versions, one in black and white, the other in color, superimposed. Why did you draw her like that? Asked Minji. Because that's how she looks, Mom. One part of her is in her time, the other is here, and she doesn't know which one is real. Below the drawing, Ji-hoon wrote in shaky letters, both are real. That's what scares her. A week later, something happened that changed everything. Alara appeared again, but this time not at a terminal, but in Izmir. A tourist recorded her walking along the Cordon Boyu promenade, completely disoriented. The video went viral within hours. In the video, Alara looked at the modern buildings with horror, fearfully touching the parked cars. She screamed when a bus passed close by, and then said something that chilled millions. Where is my daughter? Where is my little Isaac? Light? She was only 6 years old. She was playing just a moment ago. The police detained her. They took her to a psychiatric hospital. Doctors examined her. She was physically healthy, but mentally they insisted she was delusional. They gave her sedatives, kept her under observation, but Ji-hoon knew the truth. That night, he told his parents. She left her daughter playing in the square. She only went out for a moment to buy bread. When she returned, everything had changed. The square was different. The buildings were different, and her daughter was gone. Gone where? She stayed in 1553. Alara crossed accidentally, and now she is looking for her. She thinks her daughter is lost. She doesn't know that her daughter lived her entire life, grew old, and died 470 years ago. Minji clasped her hands over her mouth. My God! Dr. Han ran the calculations. If she left her home in 1553 and crossed to 2024, for her only days have passed. But her daughter remained in the normal flow of time. She grew up without her mother. She probably thought her mother died, disappeared, or abandoned her. This is a tragedy for both sides, whispered Haiyan Wu. News of Alara's detention exploded. Activists demanded her release. Scientists wanted to study her. The Turkish government was at a loss for what to do. Meanwhile, Alara continued to plead for her daughter in the hospital, unable to understand why no one was helping her. Ji-hoon couldn't sleep. He told his parents, I have to talk to her. I have to explain. It's the only way to stop the pain. How are you going to do that, son? We have to go to Izmir. We have to see her. And I have to tell her the truth. Ji-hoon looked at his parents with tear-filled eyes. Someone has to tell her that her daughter is well, that she lived, that she was happy, that she didn't abandon her, that she just got lost along the way. And how do you know her daughter was happy? Ji-hoon smiled sadly. Because Elara showed me. She showed me the memories. Izik grew up, married, had children, lived to be 80, and prayed for her lost mother every night of her life. Then both of them suffered, said Min-ji, crying. Yes, but only one of them knows why. The Kwan family arrived in Izmir 5 days later. They used funds from a crowdfunding campaign that raised over $100,000 in 2 days. The case of the child who speaks with the lost woman had captured the world's imagination. With the help of Dr. Han and the journalist Mina Kim, they obtained special permission to visit Elara at the psychiatric hospital. The conditions were supervised, recorded, and limited to 30 minutes. They entered a white, sterile room. Elara was sitting by the window, watching the city with empty eyes. She was about 60 years old, with gray hair and a tired face. When she saw Ji-hoon, something in her eyes changed. You, she said softly, the child who can hear me. Ji-hoon approached. Hello, Ms. Elara. The woman knelt in front of him. Do you know where my daughter is? Please, days have passed, and I can't find her. The police are not helping me. They say things I don't understand. They talk about years and centuries, but that makes no sense. I only went out for a moment. Ji-hoon took her hand. His voice was soft but firm. Ms. Elara, I need you to listen to me. I need to tell you something very important. Did you find Izik? Yes. In a way. Ji-hoon took a deep breath. When you went out to buy bread, something happened, something no one could see. A door in time opened, and you crossed without realizing it. You crossed many, many years forward. Elara shook her head. No, that's impossible. It was only this morning. For you, yes, it was this morning, but for the world, 471 years have passed. Silence became absolute. Elara looked at Ji-hoon, then at the adults, then at the window, the cars, the modern buildings, the people's clothes. Slowly, her face broke down. No, 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 no. Your daughter stayed in her time. She grew up. She had a beautiful life. She married a craftsman named Aris the blacksmith. They had 4 children. She lived to be 80 years old. She was happy, Ms. Elara. She had a good life. How do you know that? Because you showed me. Your memories are in the middle, between your time and this one, and I can see them. Because I'm still a child. Because my mind hasn't learned to block those things. Elara collapsed. She fell to the floor, sobbing. My child, my little Izik, she grew up without me. She thought I abandoned her. No, she knew something happened to you. All her life, she believed you were special, that you were chosen by something greater. Ji-hoon knelt beside her and added, and she never stopped loving you. Never. Elara's tears wouldn't stop. She died a very long time ago, but she lived well, and she is waiting for you on the other side. News of the conversation leaked out. The video recorded by the hospital showed everything. A 4-year-old child explaining to a woman lost in time that her daughter had died 470 years ago. It was heartbreaking. It was impossible, but it was real. The world reacted. Scientists, theologians, skeptics, believers, everyone had an opinion. But one thing was clear. Something inexplicable was happening. Dr. Han began working with an international team of physicists. They developed a theory. The temporal collapse in 1553 was not unique. It was the first. And since then, periodically, when astronomical conditions align, the layers touch again. People get trapped. Some cross forward, others cross backward. Backward? Asked Hyan-woo. Exactly. People from our time might be lost in the past, living in the 16th century without knowing how to return, or worse, without knowing they don't belong there. The idea was terrifying. How many people throughout history were considered insane, witches, or prophets, when in reality they were accidental time travelers? Elara continued to stay in the hospital, but now Instead of medicating her, the doctors listened to her. They showed her drawings and maps of Alton Le Mans in 1553. She recognized everything. She described streets that no longer existed, buildings that had been demolished centuries ago, with perfect accuracy. The ancient historian, Professor Earl A. Cahan, confirmed every detail. She is not making things up. She is describing the Alton Le Mans trading district exactly as it was, things we would only know from obscure documents, not even translated into modern Turkish. Ji-hoon visited Alara every day during their stay in Izmir. They talked. She told him about her life, her husband, the cloth merchant Aris the blacksmith, her daughter Izik, who loved flowers, and their small house near the square. One day, Ilara asked, "Can I go back? Is there a way to return?" Dr. Han sadly shook his head. The collapse was instantaneous. The window closed, and even if you could go back, your world no longer exists. Everything you knew vanished centuries ago. So I'm alone. Completely alone in a world where my family died generations ago. Ji-hoon took her hand. "You are not alone. I am here, and there are more." More what? More people like you lost, confused, thinking they are crazy. I can find them. I can help them understand, so they don't suffer as much as you suffered. Elara looked at the child in awe. "Would you do that for strangers? You are not a stranger. You are my friend. And if there are more friends lost in time, I will find them all." That night, Dr. Han ran statistical calculations. If temporal collapses occur approximately every 70 years, and if only between 0.1% and 1% of people in the affected area get trapped ... hundreds of people could be wandering the world without knowing what happened to them. 2 months after meeting Alara, something extraordinary happened. People from all over the world began reporting similar cases. A man in Tokyo who insisted he came from Edo in 1850. A woman in London who spoke Old English and was looking for the old London Bridge, which had been demolished and rebuilt 3 times since her era. Ji-hoon became a phenomenon. International media dubbed him the Layer Bridge Child. His ability to communicate with the temporally displaced was unique. Scientists could not explain it, but it worked. The Kwan family founded a non-profit organization named Voices Between Times, Voces Entre Tiempos. Their mission was to identify, assist, and provide dignity to people lost in temporal collapses. They received funding from governments, universities, and private donors. Ji-hoon traveled to different countries with his family. He met more people like Ilara, a Vandal warrior who appeared in Italy in 1990, an Edo period girl found in Tokyo in 2008, a Goguryeo soldier found bewildered in Seoul in 2018. Their stories were all the same. A normal moment, a step, and suddenly everything changed. But they didn't realize it immediately. They thought they were sick, hallucinating, going crazy. The Goguryeo soldier told Ji-hoon, "The worst thing is not being lost. The worst thing is that no one believes you. They treat you like a lunatic. They lock you up, and you start doubting yourself, thinking maybe you really are crazy, that everything you remember was a dream." Ji-hoon documented every case. Dr. Han and his team found patterns. The collapses occurred in areas of high geomagnetic activity during eclipses, solar storms, or rare planetary alignments. Dr. Han explained at a press conference, "It's as if the universe has cracks. And when the conditions are exactly right, these cracks open only for an instant. But that's enough for someone who is in the wrong place at the wrong time to slip through." Ilara became the movement spokeswoman. She gave interviews, told her story, and slowly began to heal. She could not return to her time, but she had found purpose, helping others like herself. In an interview with a global news agency, GNA, she said, "Ji-hoon gave me something no one else could. He gave me the truth, and the truth, even if it hurts, is better than madness. Now I know I am not crazy. I know what happened to me." And even though I lost everything, at least I know why. 1 year after the initial contact, the Foundation had identified 47 confirmed cases across 22 countries. 47 people who finally understood they weren't insane, just lost. And Ji-Hoon Kwan, now 5 years old, was their guide back to some kind of peace. But the biggest story was yet to come. November 2024, exactly 1 year after Ji-Hoon met Ilara, Dr. Han made an alarming discovery while analyzing the data from all documented cases. He announced in an emergency meeting, the frequency of collapses is increasing. In the last 100 years, we recorded about 1 every 70 years, but in the last 20 years, we've had 12, and in the last year, 5. What does that mean? Asked Hyun Woo. It means something is changing. The layers of time are becoming more unstable. The cracks are lasting longer, opening more frequently. Why? The doctor showed complex charts. Anomalous solar activity, changes in the Earth's magnetic field. And he hesitated. And something else, something I cannot measure, but that Ji-Hoon consistently describes. What is it? He says he feels pressure, as if something on the other side is pushing, trying to deliberately open the cracks. Everyone fell silent. The idea was terrifying. What if someone or something is manipulating the temporal collapses? That night, Ji-Hoon had a more intense vision than ever before. He woke up screaming. When his parents arrived, he was trembling violently. I saw something big. It's not just lost people. There's more. Something else is trying to cross. What kind of thing, son? I don't know, but it's old, very old, and it has been waiting for the cracks to be big enough. The next day, strange reports began to arrive. In the places where temporal collapses occurred, people saw anomalies. Shadows moving on their own, objects appearing and disappearing, sounds from past eras' horse hooves, ancient voices, music that shouldn't exist. Ilara urgently contacted Ji-Hoon. Something is wrong. I can feel it. The crack I crossed through is opening again. I can see my time more clearly now. It's as if the layers are merging. Dr. Han confirmed the worst. There was a massive planetary alignment scheduled for December 31st, 2024. A triple solar eclipse. An X-category solar storm. This is the perfect convergence. If my calculations are correct, all the temporal cracks in the world are going to open simultaneously for the first time in millennia. What will happen? Asked Hyun Woo. I don't know, but it could be catastrophic. People from different eras crossing over, past and present overlapping, realities colliding. Ji-Hoon looked at his parents. I have to go to where it all began, to Altin Liman, to Izemir. There is something there, something that can close the cracks. Ilara knows it. She feels it. What is the origin? The 0 point, where the first collapse occurred. If we can get there, we can stop what's coming. They had 10 days. 10 days to prevent time itself from unraveling. December 31st, 2024. Izemir. The international team converged on the excavated ruins beneath the Great Harbor Fortress. The place where Altin Liman once stood, where everything began in 1553. Ji-Hoon was there. Ilara was there. Dr. Han, his team, Min-ji and Hyun Woo, 50 scientists, and cameras broadcasting live from all over the world. It started at 11:17 p.m. The sky went completely dark during the triple eclipse. The earth trembled slightly, and then the cracks opened. They were no longer invisible. This time, there were literal tears in the air. Through them, other times could be seen. 16th century streets, horse carts, people in old clothes looking into the present with the same confusion that modern people looked into the past. It's happening, shouted Dr. Han. The layers are colliding. Ji-Hoon walked toward the center of the ruins. There was an ancient stone there with symbols no one had been able to translate. Ilara walked with him. This stone was in my square. I remember my parents told me never to touch it, that it was sacred, that it protected the town. Ji-hoon placed his hand on the stone, closed his eyes, and understood instantly. This was not a normal stone. It was an anchor. It kept the layers separate, but in 1553, something damaged it, a lightning strike, an earthquake, and the layers touched for the first time. That's why Alton Liman vanished. That's why Alara was trapped. "What do we do?" asked Hyun-woo. "I have to repair it, but I can't do it alone." Ji-hoon looked at Alara. "I need someone who is between the layers, someone who can touch both sides." Alara understood immediately. "I'm going to die, aren't I, Ji-hoon?" The child nodded through his tears. "Your energy is the only thing that can seal the cracks, because you are part of both times. You are the bridge, and sometimes bridges have to close so the sides can be safe." Alara smiled. "It's all right. I have lived more than I should have, outside of my time for 471 years. It is time to rest now." She placed her hands on the stone next to Ji-hoon's. Energy began to flow. The cracks started to close slowly, painfully. Alara began to fade, as if made of smoke. "Tell the others, the other lost ones, that they are not alone, that they were brave, that they survived. I will, I promise. And Ji-hoon, thank you for giving me the truth, for not letting me die, thinking I was mad." A final flash of light. The cracks closed completely. Alara vanished. The stone glowed for a moment, and then went dark. Absolute silence. The eclipse ended. The moon released the sun. The light returned. Later analysis confirmed that the temporal anomalies had disappeared. The cracks were sealed. Time was flowing normally again, but Ji-hoon knew something no one else did. In the final moment, just before she faded, Alara had seen something and shown it to him. Her daughter Isaac, waiting for her on the other side, arms open, smiling. And finally, after 471 years lost, Alara had found her way home. 2 years later, Ji-hoon was 7 years old. The Voices Between Times Foundation was now international. They had helped over 200 temporally displaced people find peace, understanding, and dignity. Ji-hoon could no longer talk to the lost ones as before. His mind was growing, the barriers were forming, but he trained other special children who could still see between the layers. One day, while organizing Alara's archives, he found a parchment. A note translated from the old Anatolian script by Professor Errol A. Kuhn. "Henceforth, my name is Isaac, daughter of Alara of Alton Liman. My mother vanished 6 years ago. They never found her. But I knew in my heart that something had happened to her, that she did not abandon me. Therefore, I left a note here, hoping that if she ever finds it, I could show her my love, my happiness, and my hope. ... Tell her I forgave her. This is my intention, and nothing else, with love forever." Isaac 1559. Ji-hoon cried as he read, because he now knew with certainty. In the final moment of her existence, Alara had been reunited with her love, her happiness, and her hope. Yes, it was enough.